Here's the only Barb chaining guide you will ever need for 2026. How do you Barb chain? With which commanders do you Barb chain? How do you set up Barb chaining? Let's get into it. I will explain it all. Hi, I'm Hallux, and my goal is for you to get more value from me than I get from you. So if you get value from this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And I also have a brand new Discord community where you can get free advice, and the link is in the description. So first, how do you actually Barb chain? To Barb chain is surprisingly simple. You just need an AoE commander and some commander that gives you sustain, like healing, and then you need barbs that are close together. Then you click on one barb with the AoE of your commander. The next barb will be attacked and the barb will attack you. And then you can go like in this direction. You can do this chain. Look, you can see now this barb is attacked. And once the first barb is gonna die, I'm gonna move my double C over here and it's gonna hit the next barb with the AoE. So now the first barb I attacked, the original barb I spent action points on, is gonna die. And I'm gonna move it over here. And on this barb, I didn't spend a single action point. If I click attack, you can see it will still want me to spend action points here. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep moving. And now if I click on the barb, I will spend action points. So don't click on the barbs. And then when the AoE procs, the next barb is going to get attacked. And you can keep going like this. Now the barbs have a specific range. Like this, chaining this barb is going to be very difficult, but I think it's possible. But sometimes the barb disconnects from you because you exceed the barb's range. When a barbarian spawns, there's a certain range around it that it can move into. And if you move it outside of this range, then it will run away from you. And if you try to chase it down, then you will spend action points. So you need to be careful with how far you can chain. This just requires some experience to know how far you can chain. And after a couple barbs, you'll figure it out. You'll figure out how far you can actually go. You can see I got the next barb, and I think after that, I can maybe try to go down here, but there's a high chance it will disconnect. So now that we know how to chain, which commanders do you use for chaining? So this is a list of all commanders you can use when you chain. So let's look first at the tanks. These are all the commanders that can sustain themselves without needing other help. And these are in total 6 commanders, which is Shoutout, Richard, Zenobia, Huro, Boudica Prime, and Sheo. This might be confusing for some people, but Sheo is this guy, Sheo Yo. And then Hera only has a shield factor, but he does have AoE. And Hera is this guy off here. Hera is of course Heraclius. So he has a shield factor, but he also has AoE. So he needs at least a half tank to be viable. So any of these basically. But these two are very special because they are tanks and AoEs. And Sheo is the most special one because he can actually chain by himself. He doesn't need a second commander. Anybody else needs a second commander. Let's look at potential pairings we can craft from this. So let's first get Sheo in here. And let's leave the first spot blank because we can get anybody with him, right? Then let's next get Hera, and Hera is secondary of course, because only these commanders should be primary because they reduce your AP. Because they all have the versatility or the peacekeeping tree, and the versatility tree gets you AP reduction, and of course the peacekeeping tree also gets you AP reduction right here. So very popular combo for Hera. It's double C, but you can also put like a Lohar or a Boudica, and it's the epic one primary, but you might struggle a little bit with your damage. Let's put CC in here. Let's do CC Hera, and let's do the next ones. Let's just write down Shajar, let's write down Richard, and let's write down Zenobia. Anybody can get these commanders to like 5-1-1-1-1 because Hu and Boudica Prime are special. Their healing skill is not on the first one. So these are much harder to use for chaining. So let's use these 3 instead. We can just put anybody down here. Let's just do QSH. Let's do Zuge, and let's do like Philip. But we could also realistically do like Achilles here. And that's what I do. Let's do Achilles, but you could also use, you can literally use anybody. You can use Cyrus, you can use Philip, whatever you have. But I think almost everybody has these 3 commanders to at least 5-1-1-1. And then for Cheo, we're just gonna put the epic Boudica. I mean, that's what I run because it has the peacekeeping talent tree. But you can also just use anybody. You can even use someone like BQ. BQ has AP reduction. He does have the versatility tree. So somebody like him could also work. So then you have potential 5 chaining pairs. Now the interesting thing about Achilles, you can pair CC with Achilles, and Achilles combo attacks can make CC's proc heal, which is based off instant procs. You can see right here, CC's heal is based off instant procs, and as we all know, combo attacks increase instant procs, so you can actually pair those two together because Achilles has the AoE. Achilles brings the AoE with him, and then you can get your Hera in here, and let's do somebody else. Let's do like Philip primary, Philip Zenobia. Then you can get your Hera in here, and you can get another chaining march. You can do, for example, Lohar Hera. So that's how you could do 6 chaining marches, for example, or you just leave one of those out. You have to find your own combination of what commander pairings work for you. I can show you again which pairings I use, and that's CC Hera, QSH Shajar, Zuga Richard, Achilles Zenobia, and then Boudica with CY. Of course, on my primaries, I have the AP reduction tree, like for example Achilles, he has the AP reduction tree. And now that we have the commanders done, let's look at gear and armaments. So for my Achilles, for example, I am running a lot of blue gear, and I have this horn here of infantry crit because I don't have any infantry commander primary for chaining. And for the armaments, which is very important, on marches like this that don't have the best gear, you want damage reduction versus barbarian armaments. This can be any formation, the formation is not important. The most important thing is that you have damage reduction versus barbarians like here. Without this, my Achilles would not survive chaining like it does, but thanks to the tree, it can survive long chains. And the same goes for my other commander, like for example Double C. On Double C, I only have 10%, because I don't need more, because my gear here is way better than the one on Achilles. But if I had worse gear, then I would also get this one up to 20%. But I use damage instead because I have better gear, so I can kill more barbs per hour. And on somebody like QSH, I don't need it, so I just use the normal armaments to do more damage and kill more barbs per hour because he does more damage with them. And then this doesn't have to be triple line formation for March speed like I have them. Just when you open armaments for your normal formation and you see something with damage reduction to barbarians, you can just keep it and then use it in the future. The max is 6.5%, I believe, so you can get all the way to 26% barbarian reduction, and it's going to help you immensely to survive barbarians, especially when you're in Season of Conquest and you're a newer player who doesn't have full legendary equipment, fully iconic and fully tiered up like the old players have. And then the last part of the video, why even use 5 marches? Of course, you don't have to use 5 marches. You can use less if you want, but the reason why I would recommend 5 marches is because simply time is money. The more time you save chaining barbarians, the more time you have for other things. So with 5 marches, you can move all 5, and how I move them is I press the number hotkeys on my keyboard. This might be more difficult than if you're on phone, you can just tap on them. And usually I go for chains, just 2 is enough for me because 2 is better than 1. But if you really want, you can also look for a minimum of 4, a minimum of 5 if you're running low on AP or if you just want to do that. And you can save your time, and the more marches you use, the more time you save. So I would definitely recommend 5 marches over anything else. And at the beginning, I have to say it is quite stressful to chain with 5 marches, but when you get more practice, it gets easier. So that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching.